The night was silent, yet the stars trembled, as if they knew the Buddha's eyes would soon close forever. Beneath the ancient Bodhi tree, his breath moved like wind through still water. "Ananda," he whispered. "The body fades, but the truth does not die." The young disciple's hands shook. He had seen his master calm storms, but never face the end. The old monk smiled. The kind of smile that remembers every birth and every death. "When the eye turns inward," he said softly, "the universe ends and begins again. But how can something eternal ever end?" Ananda's voice trembled. "Master, will the Dharma end when you go?" The Buddha opened his eyes slowly, as if pulling light from a distant star. "When the candle burns out," he said, "the fire does not die. It simply returns to where it always was." The words hung between them, heavy and weightless. As the morning deepened, the monks gathered. They felt the change in the air, a silence too perfect to belong to this world. The Buddha's hand rested on the earth once more. "All that arises must fade," he said. "But look closely. What fades?" When the sun reached its zenith, Ananda's fear became tears. "I don't know the path without you," he confessed. The Buddha smiled faintly, the way a father smiles before parting. "Then your path is clear," he whispered. "Walk without fear." The wind slowed. Even the birds stopped singing. The Buddha closed his eyes again, and the world leaned in to listen. For one eternal moment, time itself seemed to bow before him. "When I close my eyes," he murmured, "tell me what truly disappears." Night returned like a silent ocean, swallowing the colors of day. The Buddha sat unmoving, yet within him, galaxies turned. Ananda watched, afraid to breathe. A soft wind carried the scent of dying lotus flowers, as if nature itself mourned. "Ananda," the Buddha said gently, "the body is but a guest house. Do not mistake the walls for the owner." The disciple bowed, tears glimmering in lamplight. "Master, if you leave, what remains of me?" The Buddha smiled. "Only what was never born." As Ananda turned to leave, the air shimmered, cold, heavy, unnatural. A voice echoed through the stillness, neither inside nor outside. "So the great Buddha fears no end." From the darkness emerged Mara, eyes glinting like shards of obsidian. The Buddha did not look up. "Fear is the first illusion," he said calmly, "and the last to die." Mara's shadow coiled around the firelight. "Without form," he whispered, "how will compassion live?" The Buddha opened his eyes. Galaxies reflected within them. "Compassion does not live," he said. "It is." The words struck Mara like thunder, yet his smile did not fade. "Then show me," he hissed, "what you see when your eyes are closed." For a moment, everything stilled. The fire froze mid-flicker. The leaves hung in air. The Buddha looked not at Mara, but through him. "The one who tempts me," he said softly, "is also the one who prays for peace." Mara's eyes widened. Confusion, anger, and sorrow flickered at once. "Then what am I?" he asked. The Buddha whispered, "The question that keeps awakening alive." Mara vanished like smoke. Silence flooded the grove once more. The Buddha turned to Ananda, his voice like rain on dry soil. "You see, Ananda," he said, "even shadows serve the light. Without the dark, the flame forgets its purpose." Ananda bowed deeply, his tears falling into the dust. Somewhere in the distance, a single bell rang, marking the hour when night turns toward eternity. The night deepened until even silence had a sound. The monks had long fallen asleep, but Ananda kept watch beside his master. The Buddha sat unmoving, yet his breath shimmered like starlight. "Master," Ananda whispered, "why do you not sleep?" The old monk opened his eyes, calm, endless, and replied, because I am learning how to awaken without waking." Then the Buddha closed his eyes, and the world began to vanish. First the sounds, then the wind, then even thought itself. Within him unfolded a boundless sea of light. From that vast silence, he saw a billion suns rise and die within a single breath. So, he thought, this is the end that never ends. In that light, time had no meaning. Past and future folded into a single endless now. He saw himself walking through countless lives. A king, a beggar, a monk, a child, each face his own. From the heart of that vision came a whisper, "If all forms are mine, whom shall I save?" From the heart of emptiness rose a single presence, soft, luminous, childlike. It was neither boy nor girl, yet carried the purity of both. The child bowed before the Buddha and spoke in a voice like the echo of his own compassion. "If you end the universe, who will dream of mercy?" The Buddha's heart trembled, not with fear, but recognition. "You," he said, "are what remains when all ends." The child smiled, fading into the radiance. "Then remember," it said, "what you see is not the end, but the mirror of your seeing." The Buddha bowed within himself, and the infinite bowed back. Light exploded, not outward, but inward. Galaxies, gods, and dust folded into silence. The Buddha's breath slowed until even eternity waited. "All that I have seen," he thought, "was only the mind's reflection upon emptiness." The stars cried out and vanished one by one, until only awareness remained. Vast, still, unending. From the depths of that stillness, voices arose. The cries of beings in every world, seeking release. The Buddha's heart expanded, encompassing them all. "This is the ocean of sorrow," he murmured, "and I am the shore." His compassion moved like sunlight through water, and the darkness began to melt. Then Mara returned, not as shadow but as flame, his form twisted with anguish and beauty, half divine, half broken. "End it," he roared. "Destroy this dream." But the Buddha only smiled. "If I destroy illusion," he said gently, "who shall awaken from it?" And with that, the fire bowed to peace. As Mara's flames faded, a deep silence filled everything. The Buddha saw universes folding like petals of a dying lotus, each collapse birthing another. "Even endings," he whispered, "seek to continue." His voice carried through the void, and all creation listened, from gods to dust, from memory to silence. When all forms were gone, only light remained. And within that light, a pulse. Soft, rhythmic, alive. It was the sound of compassion itself. The Buddha smiled faintly. "So," he said, "the universe was never born, and yet it never ceased." His final tear fell, not of sorrow, but release. And it became the seed of endless awakening. The light became softer, like dawn after eternity's night. From the emptiness emerged the shape of a child, glowing with the hue of moonlit silver. The Buddha opened his eyes within the void and whispered, "So the dream has a heart after all." The child smiled. "You called me with your compassion," it said. "Without it, the void is only silence." The child walked closer, its steps leaving ripples of light. "Do you know me?" it asked. The Buddha looked deep into its eyes and saw every life he had ever touched. "You are the echo of my mercy," he said, "and the seed of all beginnings." The child laughed softly, a sound like wind over crystal water. "Why did you create suffering?" the child asked. The Buddha closed his eyes. "Not I, but ignorance. Yet from it grows compassion, like lotus from mud." The child bowed, understanding rippling through the silence. "Then will you end it?" The Buddha smiled faintly. "No, I will teach them how to wake." The child began to dissolve into particles of light. If you forget me, he whispered, the worlds will end. The Buddha reached out, his touch holding the universe together. I will not forget, he said. You are compassion. And compassion never dies. The void brightened, filling with the hum of life. The child was gone, yet everywhere. The Buddha sat alone in the infinite light, his heart beating like a drum of eternity. All beings, he said softly, are children playing in my dream. He bowed, not to the void, but to love itself. And from that bow, new stars began to rise. Morning broke like a memory returning. The lotus leaves shimmered with dew as Ananda walked slowly toward his master. The air carried a silence too vast for words. The Buddha lay beneath the Bodhi tree, his body frail yet glowing softly. Ananda, he whispered, the time has come. The disciple knelt, unable to speak, only to listen to the rhythm of his master's fading breath. Do not grieve, Ananda, the Buddha said softly. The body is like a clay lamp. When the oil is spent, the flame returns to the sky. His breath trembled, but his eyes shone brighter than ever. Remember this. I was never this body, and you were never the shadow. A single tear rolled down Ananda's cheek and fell upon his teacher's hand. Monks gathered in silence. The forest seemed to lean closer, as if the trees themselves wished to hear the final teaching. All conditioned things are impermanent, said the Buddha, his voice barely a whisper. Work out your liberation with diligence. Each word fell like petals from a dying flower, soft, complete, eternal. As his final breath drew near, the earth itself seemed to pause. Flowers fell without wind. Birds ceased their songs. Even Mara, unseen, wept in the shadows. The Buddha opened his eyes one last time. Between each breath, he whispered, the universe is reborn. Then he smiled. A smile that belonged to no world at all. Then it came, a breath so light it could have been wind. His chest fell once more, then was still. The world held its breath. No thunder, no flame, only silence, deeper than creation. Ananda wept, but even his tears turned into peace. The Buddha's body glowed, then dissolved into light, leaving behind only the sound of the wind and the feeling of eternity. Dawn unfolded like a breath, drawn by the world itself. Where the Buddha had lain, the air shimmered with threads of gold that drifted upward, carried by a wind too gentle to be felt. Ananda knelt among fallen petals, unable to tell if the dew on the grass was water or his own tears. The forest stood utterly still, listening. He whispered, Master, where he gone? Yet the silence answered by blooming with light. The golden dust clung to every leaf, to every face bowed in grief, until Ananda realized it was not dust at all, but presence, warm, endless, and near. In that instant he understood. The Buddha had not departed. He had become everything that breathed. As the monks gathered, the air rippled with an unseen rhythm, a pulse that seemed to come from inside their own hearts. Ananda closed his eyes, and from within the hush rose his master's voice, clear as morning, soft as rain on still water. Do not search for me in shape or name, it said. For the one who searches is already the finding. A single bird took flight, its wings scattering motes of light through the trees. Around Ananda, the others felt it too. The gentle turning of awareness inward, the sudden peace that erases the edge between seeker and sought. In that shared silence, the Sangha became one heartbeat, one breath, one endless continuation of their teacher's call. Seasons turned, and the forest gave birth to blossoms where its ashes had settled. Rivers cleared, fish returned. The fragrance of jasmine drifted through villages that once knew only hunger. In palaces and in huts, people spoke his words without knowing whose they were. simple kindnesses rippling through lives like small stones cast into deep water. Farmers looked up at the sunrise and felt gratitude without reason. Children laughed at nothing and were forgiven. The Buddha's silence had become a song that needed no singer, echoing through the pulse of every living thing. Wherever compassion stirred, his eyes seemed to open again. Night returned, silver and calm. Ananda sat beneath the same Bodhi tree, older now, his hair dusted with gray. The moon hung low, reflected in the river, like a memory he could almost touch. He closed his eyes and whispered, "Master, you are not gone." The wind answered, brushing against the leaves with a softness that felt like breath. In the shimmer of starlight, he sensed the faint outline of his teacher. No longer body, no longer light, simply awareness resting upon the world. Peace settled around him, deep and familiar. The tree sighed, the river hummed, and Ananda smiled into the darkness, knowing that nothing had truly ended. At the first hint of dawn, Ananda's meditation dissolved into stillness. His final breath left without sound, merging into the same quiet that had once carried his master away. Above the forest, the sky burned gold. From that light unfolded a vast shape, the compassionate face of the Buddha, radiant yet formless, smiling upon the world he had never left. Mountains bowed, rivers stilled, and the sun seemed to pause upon the horizon, listening. Then the vision faded into boundless brilliance, leaving only a single truth that filled the universe. There is no death, no departure, no ending. There is only awakening, opening forever like light without limit.